Imagine you are a member of the most famous family in the world. You live in a house with 30 rooms, you have people to cook every meal for you, and you never have to worry about money. For a long time, that was the life of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. But in late 2025, everything has changed. The happiest divorced couple in the world is facing a very sad ending. Prince Andrew has lost his titles, his job, and now he is losing his home. Sarah Ferguson, who everyone calls Fergie, is finding out that her old secrets are coming back to haunt her. They are being told they can't come to the family Christmas party, and the people who work for them are no longer bowing. This is a story about what happens when you have the world at your feet but lose it all because of the choices you made. It is a story of big scandals, lost respect, and two people who are trying to find a way to survive as their royal life disappears forever. People have just found out something very shocking. Prince Andrew used to have some very bad people over for visits at his big house, the Royal Lodge. These visitors were people like Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Harvey Weinstein. These are people who did very mean and terrible things to others. The Royal Lodge is a giant, beautiful home that the public actually owns. Andrew has lived there for a long time without having to pay any rent at all. He only had to pay for some repairs many years ago. Now that people know he was hosting such bad characters in a house that belongs to the country, they are very angry. It feels wrong to many people that a man who was friends with such villains gets to live in a mansion for free. Because of this, charities and groups that used to work with his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, are trying to stay away from her so they don't look bad too. Sarah and Andrew are a very strange couple. Even though they got divorced in 1996, they still live together and act like best friends. They even call themselves the happiest divorced couple in the world. Sarah says she didn't just get divorced from him, she feels like she is a part of him. She constantly tells the news that Andrew is a kind man, a good father, and a wonderful grandfather. However, this is making a lot of people upset. They think it is controversial because Sarah wants Andrew to be able to come back into the spotlight and have a normal life. But the public is not ready to forgive him for his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. They don't think he should get to just get on with his life after such a big scandal. Back in 1986, the royal family was having a lot of drama. Prince Charles and Princess Diana were already fighting, and the people in the palace were worried. They needed a distraction, something happy and fun for people to watch. Sarah Ferguson was exactly what they were looking for. She was young, she was loud, and she was always laughing. She was unroyal, which means she didn't act stiff or bored. At first, the newspapers loved her. But the people who work for the Queen, called courtiers, did not like her. They thought she was too noisy and didn't have enough self-control. She wanted too much attention, and in the royal family, you're supposed to be quiet and follow the rules. This caused a lot of tension right from the beginning of her marriage to Andrew. Sarah and Andrew had two daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. On the outside, they looked like a happy family in photos, but on the inside, the marriage was already starting to break. Andrew was in the Navy, which meant he was away on big ships for most of the year. Sarah was left all alone in the palace. She later said she spent months by herself. Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, was very strict and wouldn't let her go with Andrew on his trips. Sarah felt like she was trapped. She once said, "I married the man, but what I got was the palace." This means she wanted a husband to spend time with, but instead, she just got a big, lonely building with a lot of cold rules. During one trip, a reporter asked her if she was ready to go skiing. It sounds like a simple question, but back then, it showed how much pressure she was under. Saying she was sad doesn't even describe how hard it was. The press followed her everywhere and wouldn't leave her alone. She was struggling to keep a smile on her face while her life was falling apart. She just wanted people to go away and let her be a normal person for one day. Because Andrew was gone so much, Sarah became very lonely. In 1989, she went to a big party in Texas in the United States. There she met a rich businessman named Steve Wyatt. He was very charming and nice to her. He didn't care that she was a duchess. He just liked her for who she was. They became very close very fast. Many people say they had a secret romance, even while Sarah was pregnant with her second daughter, Princess Eugenie. For a woman who felt like her husband had forgotten about her, Steve was like an escape. He gave her the attention and kindness she wasn't getting at home. This secret relationship was the start of a lot of trouble for her later on. There's a lot of talk about a woman who helps children's charities, but is also friends with a very bad man. People say that Sarah knew Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, which is a very bad person who hurts kids, but she stayed friends with him anyway. This makes many people feel very sick. They think you can't be a leader for children's charities if you're friends with someone who hurts them. While other royals have had small problems, this is a very big one that is hard to fix. Sarah felt like her husband abandoned her, but many people think that is no excuse for being friends with a man as bad as Epstein. By the early 1990s, rumors about Sarah and Steve Wyatt were everywhere. People saw him at royal events and started to get suspicious. Then in January 1992, a newspaper showed a photo of Steve Wyatt with Sarah's little daughter, Beatrice. This was a total disaster. It meant Sarah had introduced her secret boyfriend to the Queen's granddaughter. For the royal family, this was a huge no-no. It crossed every line. One writer even said that Steve Wyatt was the true love of her life and that their secret affair was the real reason her marriage to Prince Andrew ended. They just couldn't stay together after such a big secret came out. After Sarah and Andrew said they were separating, things should have been quiet. But in the summer of 1992, an even bigger disaster happened. Sarah went on vacation to France with her money advisor, John Bryan. A photographer snuck up and took pictures of them by a pool. In the photos, Sarah was not wearing a top, and John Bryan was kissing and sucking on her toes. These pictures were put in newspapers all over the world. The royal family was so embarrassed. The Queen was very sad, and Prince Philip was very angry. He wrote a letter to Sarah saying she had brought more shame to the family than anyone could imagine. After that, everyone made fun of her, and her reputation was ruined. By 1996, the marriage was officially over. Sarah got a little bit of money from the divorce, about £3 million. This sounds like a lot, but it was much less than what Princess Diana got. Even though they were divorced, Sarah and Andrew stayed very close. They lived in the same house at Royal Lodge and raised their daughters together. Sarah called them the happiest divorced couple. It was a weird setup, but it worked for them for a long time. They went on vacations together and acted like they were still a family. But now, because of all the new scandals, that setup is finally ending. Because of Andrew's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, the king took away his titles and his royal jobs. Now people say that Andrew and Sarah are finally moving out of Royal Lodge. They are going their separate ways after living together for 20 years. For Sarah, this is the end of a very strange time in her life. It started with a fancy wedding and lots of glamour, but it ended with lots of scandals and having to survive on her own. She has always been a confusing person. Sometimes she is funny and clumsy, and other times she is a warning to others about what happens when you don't follow the rules. Sarah Ferguson has always been a contradiction, which means she is two different things at once. Sometimes she's like a funny character in a movie who is always making mistakes. Other times, she is a sad example of how wanting too much attention can ruin your life. She talked to people she shouldn't have and trusted people who were not her friends. She gave people who didn't like her a lot of reasons to be mean to her. But even when things were bad, she never tried to act like she was perfect. She was always honest about being a bit of a mess. Now people are asking if she can just get on with her life. Many people don't think that's fair. They want to know what kind of life she thinks she can have. Since she isn't a working royal anymore, she can't do the same things she used to do. She can't represent the king or go to official events. She's stuck in a middle place where she is famous but not respected. This is a very hard place to be, and it makes her future look very uncertain. Sarah was a very unroyal person. She was messy and loud, and she didn't fit in. She once said that being in the royal family was like being in a cage made of gold. It looked pretty, but she wasn't free. When she finally got out of the cage, she didn't know how to act. Every time she tried to start a business or write a book, it seemed to end in a scandal. The newspapers laughed at her, and the people in the palace rejected her. But somehow, she kept going. She kept trying to make money and stay famous. But the old stories about her secret boyfriends and her embarrassment are the things people remember the most. Today, Sarah is a rare kind of person, a royal exile who won't go away. She still says she loves the monarchy and the queen. She is very protective of her daughters. But her place in history is as a reminder of what happens when your feelings get in the way of your job. Her relationship with Steve Wyatt didn't just break her marriage. It showed everyone that she didn't care about the rules. It showed that she would do whatever she wanted, even if it was dishonest. To the palace, she is the woman who embarrassed them. To the public, she is the woman who just couldn't keep her life together. Even many years later, Sarah's reputation is still not very good. Her name always pops up when there is a weird business deal or a money problem. She once worked for a Bitcoin company that was accused of lying to people. She is always in the news for having money troubles or doing things just to get attention. It seems like controversy, which is a fancy word for trouble, is her best friend. People say she has lived a life of choosing short-term gain, which means getting what you want right now, over long-term respect, which means being a person people look up to for a long time. Lately, people have been saying that Sarah is planning to leave the United Kingdom. They think she might move to a different country to escape all the mean things people are saying about her and Andrew. There are rumors of new business deals in other countries and fancy houses overseas. She might be trying to reinvent herself again, which means trying to start over as a new person. She wants to be far away from the watchful eyes of the people at Windsor Castle who are always checking on what she is doing. But if we look at the past, Sarah Ferguson usually brings her trouble with her wherever she goes. For a long time, she blamed her problems on being lonely or the mean newspapers. but after a while you can see a pattern. She keeps making the same kinds of mistakes. She chooses to be famous and take risks instead of being quiet and careful. Most people don't feel sorry for her anymore. They don't see her as a survivor who fought hard to stay happy. They see her as someone who caused her own problems. So what do you think? Is Sarah just unlucky, or did she make all this happen to herself? Should she leave the country for good, or is this just another part of her never-ending performance? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear what you think about Britain's most controversial family. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more royal stories.